Welcome everyone to the Honest Review. I am Airbear. As promised, I previously reviewed the XIM Apex, which you'll see a link right there in the corner of the screen. And I told you guys I would give you a best settings and setup video because yeah, there's a lot of videos out there on how to set up the XIM Apex and they are just long-winded as hell. They don't get right to the point of exactly what you need to know and get you playing on this thing as quick as possible. And I'll be honest with you, if you were to follow some of the other tutorial videos out there, you would be playing with this all freaking day trying to get it configured properly for yourself instead of actually using it and having fun. But hold on a second, before we go any further, XIM actually hit me up and they were like, holy mother of God, you just dropped a freaking awesome review that we didn't know you were gonna do because you just decided to do it. And I did. I made the XIM Apex review and they freaking loved it and they were like, hey, you want us to send you one and you can give it away to your followers? And I was like, yeah. So here you go, guys. At 55,000 subscribers, we're going to be giving a lucky winner a XIM Apex in our live streams on Twitch. We don't stream on YouTube anymore. No more YouTube. We're on Twitch now. Socials in the description. But wait, we are also giving away a BattleBeaver custom controller to another lucky winner. Yes, all the winners are going to be random, just a random viewer in the chat. Best of luck to whoever wins them. I look forward to giving them away to you guys. But let's get on with this setup. All right, so the very first thing that you're gonna need to do is take your XIM Apex, plug it into your laptop or PC, and follow the link that I will have in the description of this video. Go ahead and download the latest firmware on that page and update your XIM Apex to it. The reason we are updating the firmware on the XIM Apex is to get you all the latest and greatest features and the best experience possible with this device. So we're gonna go ahead and plug everything up. Take your XIM Apex, your triple wombo combo USB adapter thingamajiggy, and yes, it does matter what is plugged in where. Take your mouse all the way in on the right hand side. Take your keyboard in the middle. Take your controller, which will be your PlayStation 4 controller or your Xbox One controller, all the way on the left hand side. So now that everything is plugged in and powered up, go ahead and download the XIM Apex Manager onto your smartphone or PC. I highly recommend doing this on your smartphone device. There will be instructions on the screen on how to sync the XIM Apex, which is as simple as just pressing the little sync button here on the top, and then you will connect it right there in the application. And then it's going to ask you to pick the game of choice that you're going to be playing. You will be creating different profiles for different games, so don't worry about that. Just pick the game that you plan on playing first. So before we start configuring all our keybinds and mouse sensitivities and whatnot, we need to go ahead and make sure that we have our polling rate properly set up for our mouse. In case you don't know what polling rate is the refresh rate at which your mouse sends the signal to this device. So at the top right hand side, we're going to click, it'll have a drop down. We'll go into global settings. We will enable expert configuration, and there you can see your polling rates. We are going to adjust this based on the polling rate of your mouse. A lot of different mice have built-in software which you can go ahead and plug into your PC and then change your polling rates. Go with the highest possible polling rate that you can use. Yes, the highest that you can use with the XIM Apex is 1000 Hertz. Not all mice go up to 1000 Hertz. So if you're not sure what the polling rate of your mouse is, or you don't know how to change it, you're going to need to Google this. Yes, your polling rate needs to match right there on that XIM Apex Manager screen for your expert configuration on the polling rate. They need to match, or it's not going to sync up properly with your mouse movements and you're not going to have a fun time trying to aim. All right, so now that we have our polling rate set up and everything is synced up properly between our mouse and our XIM Apex, we need to go ahead and set our mouse DPI. You are going to be adjusting your mouse DPI on your PC. Not all mice have the same sensor or DPI ranges. Some mice go from 400 DPI to 3200 DPI. Some mice go from 400 DPI to 16,000 DPI. You might have to do a little bit of investigation as to the ranges that your mouse actually has. Now there's a lot of different recommendations, especially from the creator of the XIM Apex to the community. Now the creator of the XIM Apex says that you should turn your mouse DPI as high as possible. I have tried this, and then I have also tried the community's recommendation, which is to have your mouse set between 3000 and 4000 DPI. I am so thankful that I listened to the community. Me personally, I do advise that you go ahead and set your mouse somewhere between 3000 to 4000 DPI. This set DPI is not going to be your true sensitivity in game. You are going to be adjusting it with the Apex Manager Expert configuration and changing your sensitivity from there. Once you have this thing fully set up and you've gotten to play with it a little bit, if you want to try going on a higher DPI and then adjusting your sensitivity from there with a higher DPI as your base, then you can most definitely do that. But do please try this recommendation of shooting between 3000 and 4000 DPI. Try it first, see how you like it. If you want to try something different later, then do it. Okay, we've got our Apex Manager updated. We've got everything plugged in. We have our mouse polling rates synced up with the polling rate set in the Apex Manager, and we have our DPI set up as well. The next step is going to be changing the actual in-game settings of the game that you're playing. This is very, very important, and you need to definitely take note of this. Whatever game you are playing, there is a recommended best settings that you need to change for the actual in-game settings of that game on your console. So for whatever game you planned on using the XIM Apex for first, go ahead and click that little settings button right there on the XIM Apex Manager, which you will see at the bottom right hand side of the card representing the game on your screen. This will redirect you to a website which has the best settings recommendation for pretty much every single game out there that is supported on the XIM Apex. Most of these recommendations are telling you to max out the sensitivity for hipfire and ADS, but yes, they do vary from game to game, and please make sure that you go ahead and change this up based on the game that you're playing. So for example, there will be a best settings recommendation for Fortnite, a best settings recommendation for Call of Duty, a best settings recommendation for Apex Legends, etc., and so on. So make sure that you go ahead and get the best settings recommendation changed for your console in-game settings. Okay, now that we have all of that stuff out of the freaking way, we can go ahead and edit our actual configuration for this game and get our sensitivity set up and get our keybind set up. I highly recommend that you go into some type of training mode. Definitely don't try to do this in the middle of like an online multiplayer match. Go into a training mode and we're gonna get your sensitivities all set up. So at the top left-hand side, right there on the XIM Apex Manager, you will see a little pencil symbol. You're going to click that and that's going to take you into the edit configuration mode. You can name this configuration for this specific game, and you can also create multiple configurations for this game. I personally don't care about making multiple configurations because you can edit the configuration live whenever you want. So if you don't like whatever you're using, you can just go ahead and change it live, no problem. If you have different keybinds or different preferences for different games, you're not going to have to change it every single time that you're playing a different game. It's going to save this preference and this settings for this game. And then if you switch up to a different game and you have something already saved and all your preferences are already saved for that, you can just switch it whenever you switch to that game. So we're going to swipe to the right. This has our hipfire sensitivity. This page also contains all of our keybinds at the bottom. So while you're in a training mode, go ahead and start playing with this sensitivity and get it wherever you like it and then save it. So something I'm going to ask you to do really quick to try and troubleshoot for something that you might realize you have, and it is very common, and it is mouse stutter. Now what this has to do with is your synchronization, but before we talk about changing your synchronization, go ahead and try and draw a diagonal line across your screen with your aim reticle. If your line is completely smooth and there's no stutter issues whatsoever, then we're in good shape. You don't have to worry about changing your synchronization. If you have any type of jitter, or it's not a smooth line, or if you were to try and trace an object, it's very jumpy, and it's not based on your sensitivity being too jumpy, but just the fact that there is mouse stutter. You're going to click the bottom three dots under that sensitivity and you will see the synchronization option. So the synchronization is set to default naturally, but the first thing you're going to want to try is to switch it over to common. This actually fixed my issue, but if this doesn't fix your issue, then you can turn synchronization off. So go ahead and switch between these three synchronizations, whether or not it's turned off, it's on default, or it's on common, and find out which one is giving you the most steady, accurate, smooth movement on your mouse. Once you've done that, you need to go ahead and do the same thing on the page to the right. So go ahead and swipe right, and then you're going to adjust your ADS sensitivity. So now we are going to double back to the keybinds. We'll swipe left, go down to the bottom, you'll see all the possible keybinds. And this is where I have to stop for a second and let you know that there is absolutely no freaking one fits all for keybinds. There are people who like to jump with their scroll wheel and people who like to jump with their spacebar. Like Shroud, he likes to use his scroll wheel. And then most other people actually like to use their spacebar. It just depends on what you like, is really what I'm saying. Anyone who plays on keyboard and mouse knows this. There's absolutely no one fits all. You're gonna have to find out what works best for you. All right, so now you have your Apex updated, everything's plugged in, you've downloaded the manager, you've set up your polling rates in DPI, you've tried out some sensitivities, you've got your keybinds down, you're ready to jump into a couple games, but wait, there's something you might want to take into consideration. So the way that you would drop materials for your friends in Fortnite would be one way on controller and completely different for PC players. The same thing goes for looting loot boxes in Apex Legends. It would be one way for controller players and a completely different way for people on PC. But the matter of the fact is that you are not on PC. You are actually using a device that just emulates a controller. So in the standard settings, if I was going to be playing Apex Legends and I jumped into a game, all my sensitivities set up, everything, keybinds, all that good stuff, all of it's set up. I jump into a game, I finally go to loot a kill, I would realize that I'm not scooping up items with my mouse. I would be using my WASD to navigate that loot box. And that's kind of awkward and not user-friendly. You want to be able to use your mouse to loot and navigate whenever you need to navigate a menu with your cursor. Thankfully, they thought this through. So what you're going to do is go into that edit configuration, go past hipfire sensitivities and keybinds, go past your ADS sensitivities, and then get all the way over to auxiliaries. Now, auxiliaries is where you can do some major customization and create a hotkey that puts you into a different input mode. I know this sounds really complex, but it's actually really simple. What you're gonna be doing is technically swapping your right analog stick, which would be your aiming thumbstick, for your left analog stick. Now, what this is gonna allow you to do is to navigate certain in-game menus with your mouse instead of using WASD. There's a bunch of tutorials out on this. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but what I'm trying to tell you is that you can completely customize your input for a hotkey to make every part of a game, every single interface of a game compatible with the XIM Apex. All right, we're going to double back real quick to DPI settings. This is really important and everyone needs to take note of this just a wee bit. So if you have a mouse that can go up to 12,000 DPI or 16,000 DPI, you're not going to get the full use of that DPI on a cloth mouse pad. So there's no point in you going above 8,000 DPI on a cloth mouse pad. So once you get that high into your DPI, your mouse sensor will actually start to read the fibers in that mouse pad. And it's not good. It's no bueno. Trust me, okay? You will have mouse jitter for no reason and you won't have very precise clean aiming. So if you plan on trying to max out your sensor and it goes really high and you want to put your DPI as high as possible and try out your XIM Apex that way, you need to make sure that you have a hard mouse pad. So my personal setup with the XIM Apex is a Logitech G502 Hero. I run at 3200 DPI. I have a Red Dragon mechanical keyboard. The synchronization that I use is common and I have no mouse jitter. Everything runs as smooth as it should and I have 0 smoothing on my hipfire and 1 smoothing on my ADS. So I already knew in my initial review that we were going to get a little bit of hate for using a keyboard and mouse adapter on console. The reason that I'm using it is that I'm switching to PC and I need all the keyboard and mouse practice that I can freaking possibly get before I start getting wrecked by PC gods. I do want all of you guys' opinions on mouse and keyboard support that Sony just dropped, the Horitac Pro, and on the Razer turret that Microsoft dropped. Tell me what you think about them doing this, because pretty much I'm thinking the next gen consoles, they're gonna have some serious keyboard and mouse support. I'm thinking people on console, it's gonna be standard for them to be playing against mouse and keyboard players. It's gonna be like the mouse and keyboard players budget PC. Again, guys, don't miss your chance to win the XIM Apex at 55K in our live streams on Twitch. We no longer stream on YouTube. Socials and Twitch will be in the description below. And also at 60K subscribers, giving away a BattleBeaver custom controller fully decked out to another random viewer in our Twitch live streams. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If it helped you, please make sure to drop a like, possibly subscribe. Guys, that's it for me. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Peace out, guys.